Okay. So if you have any questions as we go along, please, we're a small group. Don't hesitate to chime in with your questions or clarifications. But I'm going to start today with a short Dharma talk, and I'm going to do a little reading from the book I wrote with my dear friend and colleague, Linda Madaro. And then we'll go into some silent meditation. And I'll explain this all when we get to the sections. And then we're going to have some time to reflect upon the meditation, which is why we call what we do reflective meditation. Um, yeah, not quite yet, but soonish. um, um, let's see. That is another translation of the word sati, which is commonly translated as mindfulness, but recollection or reflection are also very common and standard and definitions. And so really everything that we're aware of is in reflection. We can't really be right there. It takes, even if we think we're in the present moment, it takes a little while for our brain to register. So we're never really there. So it's all just sort of different time periods of reflection. But we're going to do the time period of reflecting after the meditation. I will tell you more about that when we get there. And then we'll have some time to explore what actually happened in your meditation. But first, I'll give a little talk. So a member of our Sangha died last night at 8:30 p.m. And she's really, as I was thinking, I've just been thinking about her all day. And actually, I checked my email and found out before bed. So it's sort of with me then, too. And so, I have no idea. Barb is her name. I have no idea what's going on for Barb, if anything. I'm certain Buddhist traditions like Tibetan Buddhism really have a clear sense of Bardo states, etc. I am very agnostic on the subject of death. But what I know is that I feel connected to her somehow more so. Am I supposed to not do anything? Oh. Excuse me, folks. Technical things. Push the blue button. Join. Okay. I want to get rid of this. I don't want to join audio. Okay, I'll just deal. Can you say? Okay, sorry, technical stuff. So sickness, old age, and death. Probably you've heard about that. I think it's a myth. So do the scholars think it's a myth that the Buddha actually lived in a castle and actually went out and actually saw an old man. It was a man in the myth, and a sick man and a corpse and a monk, all men. Yeah, it's very patriarchal beginnings to this religion and most all along, really. Um, but um, but I think the myth carries a lot of information in it. Myths matter. And so it's really saying, in my mind, very simply saying that it is old age, sickness, and death that put the Buddha on the spiritual path. And perhaps put most of the people I know on the spiritual path. I mean, so many people who come to me have come to me because really hard things have happened in their life. I mean, I could go, and maybe that's true for you. Although what life doesn't have really hard things happen, as well as wonderful things happen, and everything in between. But as I age, and over here we have our props, but it's not props at all. I mean, we have our, here's sickness over here, surgery at any rate. Candle's got her, what do you call that thing, Candle? Her knee scooter, because she can't put any weight on her knee. So I think we probably all have our stories of having various sicknesses and various apparatus perhaps that went along with it. So none of us are strangers to that. So we fit in, when I say we, I'm going to mean reflective meditation. We fit into this consortium of groups called secular Buddhists. And so secular Buddhists, we're just interested in what goes on in having a better, more ethical life here. Most of us, I can't really speak, actually I shouldn't say that. Most of the people I know stay pretty agnostic about that question of rebirth, but our practice is not about getting off the cycle of rebirth. It is about living this life in a more meaningful, more ethical, more fulfilling, sometimes more flourishing is word that's used. And so rather than trying to end suffering or dukkha, I don't like actually the translation of suffering. I prefer other ones. At least I like more, like pain and hurt, anguish, unsatisfactoriness. I mean, it's it's a lot of stuff. Um, and the reason I don't like the word suffering is because I've had too many people say, I don't really suffer. It's a big word, you know, people who are in war suffer, or people who are, you know, don't have enough to eat suffer, but I don't suffer. But it's a much bigger category than just the most obvious forms, let's say. So rather than trying to end dukkha, um, we want to know it. And that goes back to the story of the Buddha. The Buddha knew it. In the myth, he went outside the palace and he knew it. It was a knowledge, right? He knew that there was this old person, this sick person, and this dead person. He knew dukkha at that moment, and that set him on his spiritual path, and really maybe sort of brought us all here together tonight, right? Um, so I I'd like to read from my book because I spent a lot of time writing it. Although really, I wrote it. It actually kind of rolled right off. It was actually a great project to do in lockdown. I don't recommend writing a book because people don't read them that much anymore. But I do recommend if we have another pandemic, this was a really good thing to do. And who knows, we might just have another pandemic, right? Okay, so I'm going to, in this section, it's later in the book, and it's the four-cornered argument. I don't know how many people are familiar with the four-cornered argument. Okay, well then good, that's good, because maybe you know it listed as something else, or maybe it'll be new. So, and I think it might come a little bit from later Buddhism. I'm not sure about that. So it's four corners of a square. If you can envision a square, okay? And if I put my hand up, it'll be sort of the reverse of what you see, but we won't worry about that. So one corner is true, it is. The next corner is it isn't, not true, it isn't. The third corner is both is and isn't. And the fourth corner is neither is nor isn't. Now, I cracked my brain on many retreats. What does that mean? Well, it's very hard to know what does that mean. But I'll do some examples. So with the possibility that an assertion could be neither true nor not true, the teaching of the four-cornered argument catapults us out of linear thinking into something new, even mysterious. This isn't a way to solve a problem, but more a way to explore and expand our perspectives. So I'm going to jump down to this death question because it's on my mind. So thank you for being willing to go along with what's alive for me. So the four-cornered argument was in the air at the Buddha's time. In some exchanges that have come down to us in this discourse, the Buddha was asked existential questions. One was, will I exist or not in the future? His disciples clearly expected him to endorse one of these possibilities, just like you might expect an answer from us. We can't answer that question for you. Each of us has different responses, and they will change over time. In reflecting on these questions, here we step out of the usual style of integrating our thoughts. Let me say something. I meant how we mean by that is how we wrote the book previously. Linda and I don't talk about a lot of personal experiences, but we don't tell you who's who. And that's a lot because actually some of it we don't even know exactly who said what when, like we really don't know. But also our ideas come together and impact each other. Perhaps that's another example of anatta, that they're not being separate selves. So we don't tell you, but this time we're going to tell you, and that's what we mean, okay? We independently considered this deep and profound question about our existence. We did some free-form writing to take our reflections through the four corners. We do a lot of free-form writing, just like we suggest free-form meditation. I'll get to that. So here's me. I'll go first here. So I take the statement, I will exist in the future. This is surely my hope, but I don't know how I will exist. Maybe what will exist will be my words, this book. My mother thought that what would exist after her death is her ideas. She died decades ago, yet her words continue to exist in my views and in my writing. First, that's the first corner. I will exist in the future. So the second corner, I will not exist in the future. I will die. That is what I can be certain about. I don't know what goes on after that. I don't know if reflective meditation will survive into the future. This book will likely go out of print. My body will surely disintegrate. The third corner, I will exist and not exist in the future, okay? Something will go on. Maybe not my body, nor my words. Maybe my influence on somebody who will influence their kids and then their kids. So something will survive through the generations. But I don't think it will be anything resembling the Nelly I now know. I will neither exist, fourth corner, I will neither exist nor not exist in the future. A sigh of relief. I can't know this now. I can't answer this question for myself or for you. So I'm going to go on to read to you how Linda took that same, what we call prompt, and what she made of it. So first corner, I will exist in the future. How will I even survive this pandemic? Remember when we were writing it? What will happen after it? Will there even be an after? My mother died during the pandemic, and my family talks about where she is now. She still exists for us. I know there are many religions that will tell me what will happen after we die in terms of heaven, hell, rebirth, and reincarnation. I can only imagine these options. Okay, second corner. I will not exist in the future. Sometimes I lie awake at night with this conundrum at the witching hour. What will it be like to be gone? Gone, gone. My life will end. It seems so final. It can seem terrifying. My imagination is at play again. It happens to everyone. Death is certain, though the future is not. Third corner. I will exist and not exist in the future. These intermingle easily as I don't see much certainty in my statements. Some doubt, some imagination, some relief, and more questions. Fourth corner. I will neither exist nor not exist in the future. This statement hurts my brain. Unanswerable. No need to resolve it. I won't be surprised when the subject arises again, because so many people and traditions are certain about what death means. Quote, the brain and body dies, there's nothing left but ash, unquote. Quote, we live this one precious life only, end quote. Quote, leftover ignorance and habits from this life will be born, unquote. Quote, our soul will go to heaven or hell, unquote. Quote, oh no, not a quote, forget that. This is her again. I don't know what happens after death, and that I don't know is a kind of knowledge. As our voices combine again, we realize we'll likely run through the four corners or circles, searching for the answers to the question about our future existence for the rest of our lives, and maybe even after that. Okay, let's bring the four corners to our practice, a question we also might return to over and over, but is more down to earth. So now the next example is, am I a good meditator? First corner, I'm a good meditator. I understand what the teacher is saying, and meditation is easy for me. Second corner, I'm a good meditator. The teachings confuse me, and my mind wanders about. Third corner, I'm a good meditator and not a good meditator. I understand what the teacher is saying. Meditation is easy for me, and I enjoy it. Yet some of the teachings confuse me, and I'm easily distracted during meditation. Fourth corner. I'm neither a good meditator nor not a good meditator. I no longer think of myself as a good or bad meditator. That seems too task focused, like I should be good at meditation to get ahead. For me, meditation has developed into a process of discovery. The fourth corner is where the mystery of practice can be seen. Surprising things come to us. We are able to describe more conditions. We can hold paradoxes and contradictions. Things don't have to make sense in the way we thought. We may experience an absence of conflict or an absence of certainty that we started with. This process allows us to see how we come to know things. There are many ways of knowing, and they arise together in interesting ways. Some are straightforward or seem so, more logical or reasoned, more linear. Other ways are more intuitive, associative, and even imaginative. So that's the best I can do with that question about death and what Barb might be up up to right now, if there is a Barb to be up to anything right now. So yeah, but I guess one thing I do believe, somebody told me this comes from actually my Jewish background, but it didn't certainly come directly, was that I'm honoring Barb by speaking about her in this way. And so that's why I wanted to do this. So we will meditate. What do you say? 30 minutes, is that a common length of time for y'all? Yeah? Well, then we'll have 10 minutes. Well, I mean, 10, 10. Yeah, I somehow I'm not able to do the math, but that sounds good. 40 will work good. Thank you. I'm glad you can do the math right now. I can. Um, no, but what's that? Sure. But let me give a little instructions. I'll give a little, well, instructions is maybe suggestions. I like that word much better. Okay, so probably most of you have a meditation practice. And so I guess my suggestion with that is see if you can let it do you rather than you do it. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that um, don't try so hard. You've done it. It'll happen. Believe me. It's if you've practiced for very long, and I haven't spoken to each of you, so I don't really know. But if you practice for a while, it'll happen. And we suggest that you allow your thoughts and your feelings as well as your sensations into the meditation. Often in at least Vipassana, sensations are, I'm going to say privileged. They're considered a better focus object than thoughts or feelings. But I think they're all really good focus objects, and we can actually learn from all of them. Now, people might say, or they often do say, that I hear this all the time, like, if I allow my thinking to be in my meditation, then why would it be meditation? It's the same as like well, I was going to say when I was at water aerobics today, but it was wonderful thinking. I created this Dharma talk while I was in water aerobics. So, but that's really beside the point. The point really is that there are calmer, more focused, more states of mind that will arise in stillness. And so those states of mind, often called in the Pali language samadhi, or I like inwardly gathered or collected. That's my favorite translation for that word. So there's a kind of inward gathering that just happens. Maybe not for everybody, not all the time, but over time. Yes. And that really changes the thinking. And so more clear thinking can come through, more wise thinking. Not always. No. But I feel like for myself, reliably, I was just with my good friend Linda. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary last weekend of being friends and colleagues, first colleagues. We met through meditation, and then teaching together. And yeah, I had a bad night's sleep. Like I did not. We meditated twice a day. I did not have one clear or wise idea. However, when we got done meditating, and she looked at me and said, "You look so much better," because I looked so sleep deprived. And so I got a really deep rest, and that's good enough for me. But it was interesting that she could notice I looked less sleep deprived. So anyway, what I'm saying in that is I really trust the meditative process, and I really trust where it will take us. So I'm not going to guide you. I'm not going to guide you because I really have no idea what is best for you. I don't want to tell you, the conditions in your life and what is best for you. I trust that you will guide yourself, basically. And sometimes even let go of that and just be with yourself. Just be with yourself. Maybe that's the description, a good description. So after 40 minutes, we're going to do something that you probably don't usually do or maybe never did, which is we're going to jot some notes down, reflect on your meditation. Try to describe in your own words what happened. There's a lot of reasons for this, but the most basic reason is if the teacher is not telling you how to meditate, you need to learn how you actually meditated by what happened. Like you start to become your own teacher by seeing what actually occurred in meditation. Let's see. I see a puzzled look on your face, Maggie. Ask your question, please. Help me out. It'll help me out. Ask your question.
Oh, well, I'm curious how you came to this. And when I think about hello, I'm Margaret. How you came to reflective meditation, and I'm curious about how you came to the Dharma.
Oh, okay, this is fun.
And then I have never done this kind of meditation before, where I write something down after I meditate.
I know it's not allowed. In fact, in Vipassana retreats, it's outlawed.
Right, we aren't allowed to bring journals,
right?
Pens.
I know. I used to sneak it. I snuck it. Well, I wrote in my room, but I snuck it. I felt very guilty about it, by the way, because I was sneaking my journal in. Okay, you got to throw those questions at me one at a time, though, because I can't remember them all.
First question.
First question.
How did you come to the Dharma?
Okay, so it was 1978, and my dear friend went to. There wasn't much meditation around. My dear friend went to IMS, and she hooked up with Ruth Dennison. We were lesbian separatists at the time, so we were not going to go to some male teacher. Let me tell you, I'm not that anymore, so don't worry. I say don't worry because there was a lot of ill will in there, but there was a lot of strength building too. I'm not sorry I did it, but I'm glad I outgrew it, sort of. So anyway, so she brought Ruth to our piece of lesbian land down in Southern Oregon to teach us, and so that's how it began for me. And my first retreat, oh God, now we'll never have time. You got me going. You got me going on what I love to talk about, Maggie. My first retreat was horrific. I tried to be a good meditator so much. I didn't move. She had one meditation where she said we were not to move at all. And it was long. It was probably at least an hour. And we were all new meditators. And I was in so much pain. And I was so determined to do it well. But then finally, when the retreat was over, I did have some insights that were really, really that put me on the path forevermore. That, and I read about it in the book. And then I went back, I lived on another piece of land and the pig had run away. And so I was very mindfully searching for the pig. And I found the pig quite a ways away. So I thought, okay, this is practical. This is practical. Okay, so next question. Oh, and I'll add something else to it, which is, and I had a lot of dukkha. I had been a hippie and I had horrific psychedelic experiences, and I really needed to find some way through that. So I think that was the dukkha that set me on the path. Yeah.
I will always remember your story about the pig.
It's a good story, but it's real. It's really happened.
And then how did you found this reflective meditation?
Okay, so
where
what
did that come from?
Okay, so it came from recollective awareness meditation, which Jason Siff, originated. And I found him at a Buddhism and psychotherapy conference. And I could talk about that for a while. And I studied under him for, gosh, over 10 years. I can't really, math is not working in this brain today. And then he did an ethical breach, and it was very, very bad. What he did wasn't as bad as what many teachers do, but it was bad. So we broke apart. So I know some about I know internally about some of what you've all gone through. And Linda and I, we had a real kinship with each other. So then we set off to continue teaching, and we changed the name to reflective meditation. But what I can also say is I feel like my Vipassana practice, which was about 25 years, I was really doing something similar. I just thought I was a bad meditator, right? I was sitting and thoughts were coming up, and yeah, I was trying to turn them off then. I mean, they instructed us not to turn them off, but that's how I understood it, like focus elsewhere. So it seems like, they weren't valued. But then in between meditations, I'd have all these thoughts that I really valued, and I journaled, and there was a lot of, that was where the good stuff was for me. So, yeah, so it's been a long journey. Yeah.
This leads me to one short question.
Okay, this is fun. I'm sorry that I get so excited by it. I'm not really sorry.
You had the 25 years of Vipassana first. How do you think reflective meditation works with people who haven't had that as a background and they just start with reflective meditation?
It's a really good question. I don't know.
We lost the audio.
I'm not sure what happened or when you stopped hearing me. Anyway, did you hear about touch points, or was I gone? Okay. Did you hear about the continuum, or was I gone?
No, no.
They should have heard it all. It's just the recording might not have been recorded.
Oh, is that true? Did you hear all that?
No.
No. What?
Well, it stopped when after Candle asked the question.
Oh, okay. So my response to Candle's question is, what about people who don't have meditation experience? That was the question, right? Candle, did I get it right? Yeah. Okay. And I drew a continuum in my thinking about it, and my experience, not my thinking, because I've taught lots and lots and lots of people. So on one hand, there's a lot of people who just come who thought they couldn't meditate before. They had a very clear idea. They had to stop their thoughts. They couldn't stop their thoughts, so they couldn't meditate. And then I say, well, you don't have to. You can just sit and be with what is and be aware. That's the thing. When we're recollecting, we're being aware. When we're reflecting, we're being aware of what is. You could just be, and you don't have to be super aware, because then people start getting anxious about that part. I have to be aware. I have to remember. We set ourselves up in all kinds of ways. But anyway, over on that side of the continuum, a relief. On this side of the continuum, I need more instruction. I'm confused. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think a lot of those people leave because they don't even tell me that, I can't know that. So yeah, so I don't have a clear answer to your question. But maybe my clear answer goes back to what Pacific Northwest Meditators is all about, diversity. People need different things, right? So that's why that's my maybe simple answer to why there's all these different paths in Buddhism and in spirituality in general. People really do need different things. And I have to say, we're not a big, we're not like we never, we were always like we're small sanghas, we're small groups, sort of like this. And it's not for everybody.
We're going to find out this right now.
We're going to find out you're going to find out what your experience is right now. So we'll meditate for 30 minutes. We're back to the 30-minute idea. And so just be silent. Just again, if you have a practice, let it do you. You can, of course, choose to do it. You can choose to do whatever you want, but experiment a little bit. See what happens when you just let things be as they are. And well, it looks like Candle's even going to be my bell ringer. Oh, getting lots of help today. Okay. Can we turn off the light? Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah. And I'm gonna turn off my video because that's what we do.
Can't hear you again.
Okay. So in this next part, we reflect back, we learn more, we become more aware of what happened to you in your meditation, often with jotting down some notes about not, most people go right to content then, but process perhaps is even more important. And you'll never remember it all, so don't try. And probably start with what's easiest to remember, and then a little more will come. And then a little more will come. And so just do this for about 10 minutes, and we'll go on from there after that. Would you like one?
On the right-hand side, on your right-hand side.
Yeah. Oh, I should go out. Okay. Get out this way.
Yeah, get out.
Am I hooked in? No. Okay, there we go. if you find yourself having sort of commentary on what happened, you might put that in parentheses, just so you know actually more about the meditative process and what followed it. Okay, then the third phase of this process, which is, well, first of all, if you turn on your videos, that would be nice. It's always easier to see people and talk to a visual. So some of you, possibly all of you, but you certainly don't need to, will have a chance to talk about your meditation experience, and you can read from your journals, or you could just talk about it from memory, or a little bit of both. And then I'm just going to ask you some questions, and maybe the main direction of my questioning will be about actually becoming more aware of your sitting, maybe, because it's an interesting thing that happens when you start talking at it, then you have more memory often, become aware of a little bit more, and then also maybe to see a little of the Dharma embedded in it. Because what we're doing is, rather than giving you too much Dharma from the outside in, which is usually how it's taught. I mean, Ruth would give hour or 2 hours, sometimes Dharma talks, not uncommon. What we do the opposite, like shorter 10-minute Dharma talks. I don't know how long mine was today, but not too long, so that you can really find the Dharma inside your own experience. So, who would be willing to start? Oh, first of all, any questions about the process, actually, before we start? Any questions? Okay, then I need somebody. I need somebody.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. Has a wonderful way of
Oh.
encouraging me to step back, because
Oh,
oftentimes I'm going forward,
oh.
and I always try to step back.
Well, I needed somebody to step forward.
But I'll step forward. That was really different for me. At first, I did what I usually do, which is I focus on the breath. And I use the Thich Nhat Hanh. He would say, breathing in, I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm breathing out. And I do that for a while to slow my brain down. And then when I got bored with that, I started doing a body scan, because the whole time this is going on, I am having this awareness of how once we turn the lights off, I just wanted to lie down and take a nap. So I actually spent a good part of my meditation in a semi-conscious state. But what happened in that semi-conscious state was so interesting because I was planning a vacation for these characters in this trilogy that I'm about to finish, which has dragons in it. And anyway, it's an incredible selection, written by a woman with a woman heroine. And then I would just wake up in my dream, in my dream state, wake up and go, oh no, breath, and then back to the breath. Calm, meditative, breathing, relaxing my brow, feeling into my hands and my feet, feeling my feet grounded on the floor, coming back into my body. And that's how it usually works in my meditation practice. Is sloth and torpor my worst hindrances ever. And always coming back to the breath. The breath is really the most effective anchor for me. I tried hearing and focusing on hearing. Hearing is present. I'm aware of hearing. But there was nothing interesting really to hear. So I went back to the breath, and then I went back into my dreamlike state, and then the bell rang.
Okay. So I think you started out by saying it was really different, and I'm guessing what was different was when you went into that dreamlike state and were planning the vacation for
The characters in this book.
No,
No,
is that
actually,
what was different, or what was
no,
different?
what was different was trying to remember what I did during my meditation practice with
okay.
my mind.
Okay.
I've never done that.
Okay. Yeah, most people don't. Most people just meditate and get up and go.
Right.
Go
Then
along.
it's time for walking meditation.
Right.
Or I meditate. I've done my 20 minutes. I'm feeling collected. I'm feeling calm. And now I go about my day.
Uh-huh.
So this was interesting, especially to notice my dreamlike state, which was very pleasant.
Oh, that would have been my next question, because you said you came back to the breath, and I thought that's what I was going to ask, because you were not relaxed in that dreamlike state, or?
No, it was very relaxing.
Okay, it was very relaxing.
Yes.
So you really brought it, but when you came back to the breath, you sort of sounded like, I can't remember, but that it was preferable.
I tried to do that without judgment. I used to judge myself all the time in my meditation practice, and now it's just, oh, you're dreaming. Oh, come back to the breath now. So I practice kindness towards myself in my meditation.
Okay. So, all right. So and you note that's different. You could really see that was really a different transition there. It was done with kindness, but you did wake yourself up.
Yes.
And you did. Okay, I'm going to put up some views that I have that are different than yours, and it's not because I think you should take them up. Okay. So it's more because you hold on to that for now, because we might do a little more dialogue. It's more because it might open up your views a little bit. I think like I already said, I think being sleepy in meditation is just fine. And those kind of dreamlike states, like what you describe, I think is another form of samadhi. Because actually, self is not even in there so much. When you think about learning about anatta and about self, and in those states, you sort of like you surrendered, like it's happening, right? It's like this vacation is happening, right? So it really is another way of letting go, actually. I think sloth and torpor is not about sleepiness. Now, I know this is different from the usual, but it's, because I have no problem with sleepiness. Like I said, I think I slept in part of those two meditations, or maybe I did, because there's this because I don't think you were sleeping, by the way. Mm-hmm. No, I don't think you were sleeping. I think you were in this hypnagogic state, this altered state, right? Yeah. And so that can be pleasant, like you said. It can be relaxing, like you said. What's the problem? Why is that a problem? Why is that a hindrance? What is it a hindrance to? Really? I don't think it's a hindrance to anything. Apathy is my translation of that. When you're really apathetic, you don't care, you're not interested, you're going through the motions. I think that's sloth and torpor. So
Interesting.
it's really a different view.
Yeah.
And that
It's a
really,
different view.
it's a really different view. And I just don't know how sleepiness became. And I always joke about this because I've been insomniac since childhood. Not all the time or anything like that, but sleep is a wonderful thing at night, and then suddenly in meditation it's bad. Like, what a double standard that is. There's nothing wrong with sleep. It's a rather wholesome thing. So that's my view on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing I want to say about that is that we could have named this just as easily creative meditation as reflective meditation. We chose reflective, but when we allow ourselves to go into those states, a lot of creative things come out of it. And I love that.
I actually love it too. That's not how I've been trained
I know.
to appreciate my dreamlike quality of experiences when I'm meditating.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm trying to uncondition a little bit of that. Open it up. Because the training that you've had to, steady yourself with the breath has great benefits, but there's a lot more.
Right.
There's
I think
possible.
the one thing of value for me is that I no longer judge myself.
Yeah, that was very good to note. That's very good to note.
Thank you.
Yeah. Margaret wants to share. Okay, great. I'd love to hear, Margaret. There's your hand. Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you, Nelly. Now, what I've written is quite different from Margie's, but I'll go ahead with it. I said came together in a soft, easeful state. I started quite agitated and uncomfortable in my body, feeling as though something was wrong. Did I take a walk too far? I took a walk outside and had groceries, and so that was my question. And so I said some dukkha due to that. But as the 30 minutes unfolded, I gradually felt softer and more relaxed and more okay. Slight drifting, but still aware. Thankful for the sweetness of the opportunity. So that's, yeah.
So I'm gonna. So was that like different or sort of a kind of usual progression that your meditations tend to go in?
I would say somewhat usual. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and so when you said you felt some unease in your body, but you didn't call it pain, so it wasn't quite that, huh?
It was a combination of stress and tired muscles and a little bit of pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you say anything about how that transitioned from that to more of a soft, easeful state? Like, what was the process?
Well, I think it was my relationship with my breath. I did some meditating this morning, and so I have a teacher that speaks of keeping your concentration on a short leash.
Mhm.
I won't say so much my concentration, but somehow my body remembers that I was there. And I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
Yeah,
More?
I asked you about there was this transition ac- over the arc of the meditation,
Yeah.
starting with some unease in your body, some stress, and then it progressed. And you said this is kind of a normal kind of thing that happens, abnormal, whatever, uncommon is a better word, that happens in meditation. And you came over here to a much softer, and
Yes.
things had to. I'm interested in the transitions, how
Yes.
how that process went.
I'm glad you said that because I was not feeling very much trust in myself or my body when I was um, feeling agitated. But I decided at one point, and not so much consciously, I just decided to trust in my ability to be okay, I guess.
Hmm.
Kind of, through, and the Buddha hasn't really let me down in the past, and so I thought, well, okay, I'm just gonna do this and see what comes of it, and I'm glad that, what came of it unfolded.
So there was something about that trust that came from the
Yeah,
Buddha and probably from previous meditations, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think we have and that's part of the point of what we're doing here is to actually reinforce some of what we know by saying it aloud, and
yeah,
and it's
I
all in our
appreciate that. Yeah,
experience base. So, but there's a trust. There was a trust in the process.
yeah,
Didn't get
yeah,
agitated about the being, this unease in your body. In other
yeah,
words, in terms of some Buddhist teachings, you didn't go to the second arrow. Oh no, I did something wrong. I shouldn't have walked with those groceries. My meditation's going to be uh,
yeah,
terrible. How will I endure
yeah.
it? I'm not. I'm playing
It's
around.
funny. It's funny though. There was an element, an inkling of oh my gosh, what if I end up in the same state? What if later I'm agitated and not feeling well? You know what I mean? There was a funny little, but I just decided to let that be and go, invest in my breath.
And so during the whole meditation was this breath on a were you what do I want to say? You were aware of the breath intermittently? Would that be accurate?
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And was the softening kind of a gradual softening?
It was. And really right now it feels quite lovely.
Uh, uh,
I'm glad to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, that's lovely.
Yeah,
Lovely is
yeah.
lovely. And of course, the other side of that is if you'd stayed agitated and stressed, so be it, some meditations
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. Yeah, I'm in the safety of of Dharma friends,
Yeah,
which is nice. Yeah.
you are, indeed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Hmm.
Anybody else? You can ask me questions about my questioning. I just don't want you to, at this point, to ask questions to one another or comment.
Can I just quickly say that I'm delighted with the what I just did, writing after
Hmm.
yeah, I really appreciate that.
What do you like about it? What are you delighted about?
Well, it opened me up some to what was happening.
Hmm.
And like Maggie said, I don't normally do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, that's nice.
And then what tends to happen is that it keeps going. In other words, you might be whatever, I don't know what you're doing this evening, having dinner or what have you, cooking, I don't know. And then, and then, I remembered that. The thing
Yes.
happened, there was a little point at which, I don't know what it is, right? So
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
keeps going, and that's awareness, right? Keep
Yes. That opening is nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's opening, but it's also awareness, right? You're
Yep.
becoming more and more aware of your experience. And,
Right.
it was really nice to hear you say, I trust this, because that's
Yeah.
what it takes to really let things be freer, is to trust it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that shouldn't come automatically. That should come from experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I could share, but I would like to encourage James or Edward to say something first. Me being a relatively extroverted person, I would love to hear from the two of you if either of you feel like sharing.
Yeah,
James?
yeah, I'd like to say something. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, like Maggie was, I was going kind of through my breath, and that worked for a while. But then my monkey mind kicked in, and I started thinking about I was talking to someone earlier about things on the news, and then my monkey mind started thinking about that. And yeah, then I had to, kind of stop and just kind of breathe some more. And I'd just like to say, I really I want to do this more because, like Margaret was saying, you know, I've been reading Bhante, was it? I forgot how to pronounce the last name, Guratana. Um, some of his books, Meditation on Perception,
Oh,
and I would really like to
I think you probably mean Gunaratana.
Guratana, yeah,
Bhante Gunaratana. There we go.
yeah. He's got a book, Meditation on
Indigenous.
Perception. I'm reading, and I'd like to, I think this would be really good to me start writing it down so I could learn, where the thoughts, how they arise, and kind of learn more about my own mind.
yeah, that's really the point of it. Exactly. So I got some questions though. So you were with your breath for a while and then you started thinking, and what did you say you started? The news? Did you say?
Some of the things about they were in the news popped into my head.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And then you said you had to stop it. Why did you have
Yeah,
to stop it?
um, because it's just they're just rolling around in my head, and then I could kind of feel I guess my heart rate go up a little bit of anxiety, the dukkha. I could feel that. And so I'm like, just stop
Uh-huh,
and try to
uh-huh.
get back to a place of calmness.
Okay, because it was unpleasant. It
Right,
was agitating you and you didn't want to be agitated that way.
right.
Okay. Okay. And then did you like stay with the breath for the whole rest of the time or?
Yeah, I pretty much stay with the breath. Um, yeah, and sometimes, sometimes it's natural, but then sometimes I really got to just concentrate
Mm-hmm.
on the breath
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
more than at other times.
Sure, of course. Um, so I understand why you might want to bring yourself away from the news. The news is quite a lot of dukkha right now in that for most of us. So I understand that topic you would want to direct attention away from. You made a choice. That was a choice point, right? But I also, there's other thoughts you might want to bring attention to.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You might not want to buy this, that thinking and meditation can be very fruitful. You might not want to buy that because you've been so trained not to do that. I wouldn't buy it if I was you. Really, I mean, just because somebody else says that. But you might experiment with it. You don't have to buy it.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Sometimes I do that kind of loving kindness or compassion meditation, which
Mm-hmm,
really helps.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And sometimes some very wise thoughts can come. And sometimes
Yeah.
some very unwise thoughts can come, but we can get below them and sort of see what's driving them, and that changes them. So there's lots of, and in and in the first jhana, which is sort of levels of concentration, thinking, discursive thinking is part of it. So, it's not, it's part of it.
Yeah. And that's why I want to keep my notebook and my pen with me, when I meditate so that I can write this stuff down and learn from it.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm really happy that people are like taking to that because the other thing about it is it honors our meditation. And also, if we write it down over time, if we actually keep a journal, we can see what's developing and changing. We can look back and say, see, because of course, we hope things will develop, right? Um, and sometimes we can start to see the Dharma that's right in it, right in our meditative experience. Because isn't that really what it's about? Now, I think in these times, the news being such as it is, maybe we need calm more than usual. In fact, I made that choice in meditation. I said, I am stressed out and freaked out about what is going on right now. And so I, in my meditation, will lean a little bit more into my breath. But it was a conscious choice, right? It's because it's what I need now. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Edward, can you hear me? Put your hand in.
Candle kind of froze there for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hardly can I hear you. Everybody else is coming through, but your microphone volume is way, way down.
Oh.
You might just move the microphone closer to your mouth.
I can't really get it much closer because
That's good. I
I've
can
got
hear
my
that.
cheeks in the way.
I can hear that.
So Kendall asked you, did you want to say something about your meditation?
Well, yes. I come from a kind of a long background in meditation. In the 70s, I learned biofeedback training.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 80s, I learned contemplative prayer. And now that I'm doing Buddhist meditation. And I don't like to think of myself as doing any particular type of meditation, but following the guidelines of Buddhism. And I'm a student of Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist. And but my meditation is like a sausage grinder. I start and I start my breathing, and the thoughts go by, just like driving down the road and watching cars go by. Some are shocking, some are pleasurable to see, and others are just, and the scenery goes by and all the rest of that. But what happens to me is that I reach a state of relaxation, and it's rather deep. And at first, when I start out, I think to myself, well, no, this isn't going to do any good. And I pay attention to the breath. And after a while, I start to feel less apprehension. In fact, I don't have any apprehension at all at the end of the usual session. And that's about it. I don't really have any complicated approaches to meditation or anything like that. I just simply do meditation for the sake of doing meditation, and also the idea that it was. I've had a lot of loss over the past 5 years, and that's when I started up my practice of contemplation or meditation, and it's helped considerably.
So it sounds like you do meditation to have less apprehension. Is that right?
Yes.
Quiet that, or change that, or shift that.
Why?
And was there anything different about this meditation today or a little bit different, or?
No, it's all about the same. And like I said, my meditation all sort of falls into a sausage grinder, and everything comes out the same. And so Um, I think of myself as a beginner, but I'm really not. But I've been meditating for, I think, since 1980s or something like that, or even the 70s. And I think of myself as just a beginner. I don't think of myself as somebody. I don't have any great knowledge or anything like that.
Well, I'm glad it's helping you with your losses.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, thank you. Well, if we're leaving 10 minutes to the end, Candle, should we, do we have time for you to speak a little bit? A little bit? Okay. All right. Sounds like a plan.
I'll just share quickly so that we can have a little more conversation before we close. Um, but I think something you said that caught my attention was about transitions.
Mm-hmm.
That at first, um, I have a very flighty mind, and it goes all over the place, and it happens every time I sit down and close my eyes. I'm either very busy thinking or I fall asleep, and so I do something like pay attention to the breath or the body, a touch point, to keep my attention in the moment. Um, and so at first I had a lot of content thinking about various snippets of conversation, um, and then I just sort of noticed this common transition to judgment about many thoughts, and then I'll sort of calmly go back to something that I feel will help me concentrate more. But through this, at some point, I found myself reflecting on the Dhamma the Dhammapada quote about the mind hard to control, flighty, alighting where it wishes. Um, one does well to tame, and the disciplined mind brings happiness. The mind hard to see, subtle arising where it wishes, the sage protects. The watched mind brings happiness. And I sort of, there's this weighing in your approach of letting things just unfold and try to reflect on them to my training of um, containment of the mind, training of the mind, and taming of the mind, because I do find that the subtlety of having it arise in a way that actually brings happiness is something that is attractive to me. So
Say that last sentence. I mean,
the ability of the mind uh, to uh, to bring happiness is attractive to me. That if I and so to me there is something important about control it from flittering everywhere. I feel like in a way I've wasted a lot of time in my life letting the mind go everywhere.
But have you tried that in meditation? Spent a lot of time in your life really allowing the mind to go wherever it was in meditation and see where it led you.
Say that again.
I don't want to talk you out of your
No,
what serves
go
you,
ahead.
But I think that perhaps you haven't really had the taste of letting the mind flit about and then without trying to tame it or discipline, see
Oh
where it
yeah,
takes you.
I have.
Okay.
But you know where it takes me?
No.
Sleep. I just, everything goes rolling by. I think about 25 different things. And if there's a transition to something that's calmer, I go into some sort of relaxed state that I am not aware of until I come out of it.
Right.
And then I come out and I go, oh, that was pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But
and
yeah.
perhaps pleasant and what do I want to say? Leading to good things. Can lead to good things.
And of course, even that passes.
Right, right.
Very
That's why,
quickly, it
and that's
goes-
why I ask about transitions, because we're talking about anicca here.
Yeah.
That things shift and change. Things do not stay the same.
Yep.
And as you start writing it down some more, you'll start to see that even more clearly.
Mhm.
That each meditation has lots of stuff in it, and it's
Yeah.
shifting and changing, and yeah.
It definitely sounds like a much healthier way of journaling than I journaled for, 20 years of my life, from my 30s and 40s of every little thing that happened to me
Uh-huh.
and my relationships. And at least, this kind of journaling seems a little more fruitful for some spiritual encouragement.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm just going to say a few things just to, if you liked what we were doing here today and you want to try it some more, we do it every morning at 9. So from 9 to 10 online. So you could just go to the website, Reflective Meditation, and you'll get to how to log into that. And then we have a podcast. Again, our Dharma talks are short. They're about 10 minutes long, but we have a podcast. I think they only let us keep 1,000 Dharma talks on it. So it's crazy because we started to do it March 17th, 2025, so you can do the math. Days is more than 1,000. I can't do that math, but it's more. We're doing a retreat for International Women's Day, and let me make sure I say her name correctly. Yeah, Nien Dotran from up in the Seattle area is going to join us, and she wrote an amazing book, and I am afraid I'm going to, The Budding Lotus in the West. And what she did in this book was she was very scholarly, and she really sort of disproved a lot of the suttas that are attributed to the Buddha where women are basically second-class citizens and have to bow to men's feet, quite literally, monks' feet. So she's going to teach with us. She's going to be the guest teacher, and we're going to do that for International Women's Day. And you're welcome to come. Just go to that website. And I'm going to do a fun thing. There's a clay studio very near here, and we're going to do something on meditation and clay. So we're going to do that at the end of May. So, yeah. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much for saying it.
Yeah. And of course, there's my book. It's on Amazon. So.
Yes. She's got her book here, and if you want to go search for it more elsewhere, you can find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I've listened to the podcasts. They're very enjoyable.
Oh, good,
Mm.
good.
Mhm.
So, excuse me,
So,
can I
Margaret?
just ask quickly, I'm sorry, Nelly, to become, so really to become more familiar with this process, would you suggest your newest book, or do you have a book from the past, or the most recent one?
Yeah, and the one that talks about this practice. My other books were on other topics. But yeah,
Okay.
this book.
Okay, very good. Yeah, reflective meditation. Okay, very
Yeah.
good. And you say it's on Amazon.
Yeah, cultivating kindness and curiosity.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, that's the subtitle?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very clever.
I like it.
Mhm.
Our editor came up with it. I like it. He's a wonderful man. So,
Well, I just want to thank you so much for being here.
yeah.
You have a busy life,
Oh,
and it's raining out.
it is raining.
And you are dedicated to the Dhamma.
I am very dedicated. It's true. I love it.
Yeah,
It's a love affair.
I'm so
Mhm.
happy that you are willing to be with us more than once. And I think that everyone who ever comes, we always get a lot out of it. And I just want to thank Edward for being new and joining us, and James and Margaret and Maggie. We're a small group, but we're dedicated to helping each other be free from suffering and pay attention to the heart and mind. And with that in mind, as you may know, we guide ourselves with the guidelines of Dharma, and our teachings are offered freely. And this priceless freely given gift of the Dharma has been offered for, generations by monks and nuns and lay teachers, and the practice of dana, that voluntary gift of support, helps benefit the teachings to continue. And without that interdependence of mutual support, these teachings really wouldn't have survived and grown into new ways of learning and teaching. And we're both very honored to help carry the torch and the flame of the heart of the teachings, and grateful for in sharing your joy in giving and in ours joy in receiving. And so we have a Dana basket in the back for both Nelly and us, and I put it online in the chat. If you can figure out how to copy the QR for Nelly, just take a picture of it with your phone or download it from that little download arrow. And if all of that is too complicated, you can go to PayPal or Zelle. And if all that's too complicated, you can always send me an email, and I can give you my address, and you can send a check, and I can distribute it. So none of it is necessary. It's all appreciated. And the Sangha is so important with each other. And Edward, I might mention, if you want to be on our email list and you want to put your email in the chat, you can just give it directly to me if you'd like to. I can add you to our weekly email. And I can also tell you that you can go to Pacific Northwest meditation web, that we have this link to get on to us every Saturday at 4:30.
And Kendall, I got to thank you for hobbling here too. I mean, this is above and beyond with, her foot not being able to be placed on the ground. That's,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Well,
everything.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yep. Yep.
Well,
Mhm.
Edward, did you say you were going to post your address in there?
I'll
Or,
go online.
You started to say something.
to the website.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. What is
Yeah.
your okay? Go ahead
It's
and post my
Pacific
address.
Northwest. Pacific Northwest Meditation. That'll take you to the website. And that website will take you to a donation link and also to the Zoom, to our Zoom link every time. Just remember that we meet at 4:30 on Saturdays. And probably I can just put in here, but I need to change something here for a second. I'll put Pacific Northwest here. Here it is. pnwmeditation.org. That's the website. And we also have a Facebook page. We have hardly any friends because it's not a business account. It's a personal account. So go to the Facebook page of PNW Meditation and like and subscribe so we know you're out there. Okay, so I'm posting here. It's PNWM, Pacific Northwest, pnwmmeditation.org. So happy to have you here, Edward. Great to see you again. James and Margaret are regulars. And Maggie, thanks for coming out in the rain. And I guess I'll go ahead and at least stop the recording.
Well, yeah, and thank you, Kendall, and thank you, Nelly, and